And I don't care whatever has been said around you. Those are what the words say. I ask you to read the words.
We made these posters recently because one of the things that Representative Bishop is going to say to you is, there's nothing wrong with this bill. It's fine. The language is a little vague. We can correct it, no problem.
The Senate added 2 other provisions, the so-called 1021 and 1022. But in each of those, they were talking about foreign terrorism.
So just real quickly, I want to explain to you why this language is dangerous. Covered persons is any person. Any person who obviously had something to do with September 11th. That's fairly reasonable, although we really can't do retroactive laws. But a person who was substantially supported Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, that makes sense. But it says any person, includes any person who has committed a belligerent act or has directly supported such hostilities. What does belligerent mean to you? My kids can be belligerent sometimes. So this is an undefined word in this bill. Nobody can say what belligerent means. Hostilities, what does that mean? What does that look like? They need to be defined. The language needs to be more clearly defined. So we also have, then we talk about the indefinite detention. That's this entire section right here, section C.
In 1021, they specifically put in language that say that nothing in this section shall be construed to affect existing laws or authorities relating to the detention of United States citizens.
Because it doesn't affect existing law, it affects American citizens. Because the Patriot Act can flag you as a terrorist. And so this absolutely applies to American citizens.
Does the United States government, through the military or any other agency, have the authority to arrest Americans and lock them up without a trial, without a judge, without charges?
It claims that authority. It should not have that authority, and that's why I was an original co-sponsor of the Feinstein Amendment that would have made that point clear. And that's another reason why I voted against the final bill when it came up for a final vote, is because these provisions remained in there that appeared to extend that authority. That is, the authority indefinitely to detain U.S. citizens without trial, and I'm strongly against that.
The Patriot Act was created after 9/11. It allows federal agents to investigate suspected cases of terrorism swiftly in order to better protect our country. But one Granville County mother says it gives the federal government too much leeway. Her son was taken into federal custody 2 months ago. She can't get him out, and she can't get any answers. 16-year-old Ashton Lundeby's bedroom is nothing if not patriotic. American flags everywhere. But according to the United States government, this 10th grader, who has never been in trouble with the law before, is now a suspected terrorist. His mother has had little access to him since his arrest. She says the Patriot Act stripped her son of his right to due process.
And we have no rights under the Patriot Act to even defend them, because the Patriot Act basically is superseding the Constitution.
There's nothing a matter of public.
This does not one bit take American citizens out of the picture for NDAA 2012, and this is section 1021. Then we move on to section 1022, and in that section we learn that, again, this is talking about military custody for foreign Al-Qaeda terrorists.
1022, though, is one that has got even more. This one is entitled Military Custody for Foreign Al-Qaeda Terrorists. You have to be a foreign terrorist to be involved in it.
However, it says, it shall apply to any person whose detention is authorized under section 1021. So American citizens absolutely can be involved because section 1021 gives them that right. Then we go on and it says the president may waive the requirement of paragraph 1 if the president submits to Congress a certification in writing. He's not asking for permission. He's letting them know what he's going to do.
When President Obama listed his authorities this year, he listed that as one of his powers, but he refused to put any limitations. You should know that one of the reasons why I'm here is I think I need to explain to you why I voted for NDAA. That's one of those issues that has been part of the controversy.
It's perhaps a little unfair for me to ask you to get into the head of your colleagues, Senator Lee, but there were only 7 of you who voted against this. 93 senators voted in favor of this. What's in their heads Don't they see the profound violation of the Constitution? Don't they see the profound opportunity for the abuse that you just characterized to be used by some president in the future?
We have made a benevolent king or a terrible tyrant, depending on who holds that office. President Obama, in his signing statement, said,
Governor Romney, as president, would you have signed the National Defense Act as written?
Yes, I would have, and I do believe that it's appropriate. I recognize that when you're in a setting when there are enemy combatants, and some of them on our own soil, that could possibly be abused. There are a lot of things I think this president does wrong, lots of them. But I don't think he's going to abuse this power, and I know that if I were president, I would not abuse this power.
Don't worry, you can trust me, I won't abuse this power.
You have to choose people who you believe have sufficient character not to abuse the power of the presidency.
Now, I personally don't want any president, Republican or Democrat, to have that power. We're supposed to bind men down with the chains of the Constitution, and that's really important to me. So, as we move along, there's another section about United States citizens. Now read this with me. The requirement to detain a person in military custody under this section does not extend to citizens of the United States. The requirement to detain. It doesn't say they can't. It just says they're not required to. Pretty scary, isn't it, when you think about it? So this does not give any exclusion to American citizens at all. Now, ambiguous laws like this are what create the problem. If this can be interpreted two ways, it can be interpreted two ways. Ambiguity gets you things like hope and change. And we have to be clear about what we're writing into our laws. So that's just a little bit about NDAA, and that's why I joined the race.
When we take an oath to the U.S. Constitution, to uphold it, to support it, to protect it, to defend it, we're doing more than simply agreeing to do whatever the courts will tolerate. We're taking an oath to the principles embodied in this 224-year-old document that has fostered the greatest civilization the world has ever known.